Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Ratchet Deadlocked, now with more side missions on the planet Shah. And this one in particular basically being find weapons on the battlefield that run out of ammo, causing you to find more. It's about as exciting as it sounds, and something of a bit of an admitted caveat is that, again, I do want to show off these side missions for the sake of showing off everything in the game, but at the same time they're also not very interesting to talk about, so yeah, that kind of leaves me at a bit of a crossroads, where I'm going to be struggling to find things to say in levels that are basically what they say on the tin. Here's a bit of the level, here's a gimmick, do it. And again, while you are playing the game, the core gameplay is enough to sustain it while you're playing it, but at the same time though, I don't want to say your game lives or dies by how much you have to say about a specific level, but at the same time, I think it does also make it a little bit less, well, dynamic really, because again, it's one thing with a stipulation which gameplay-wise can make it interesting, but I don't know, it's just, it just sort of is, and that doesn't really make for very interesting discussion for a commentary. But anyway, this was the mission that I was talking about all the way back when I first introduced the Landstalker, actually. Yeah, this is pretty much the score attack sort of thing, where you basically got to destroy those hovering orbs and reach the score threshold, which, depending on which difficulty you play as, yeah, the score threshold goes higher or lower. As you can see there, it's like 23,000, and that does change depending on whether or not you play on, like, Exterminator or Hero difficulty, so, watch your back. That's right, Dallas, we'll win! Whoa-ho! So yeah, I'm basically making the missions on Shah their own separate video, which I wouldn't normally do, but at the same time, I feel like extending the video into Auxon would probably undercut the level itself, and in turn, well, I don't know. I mean, these missions were a bit too long to leave into the original video, which kind of ended the main campaign of the level, or, you know, if I threw them in the other one, it would have thrown the video balance off a little bit, so here we are, back in 2009 era YouTube standards. Ah, nostalgia. Oh god, that actually does kind of bring me to a point, actually, because by the time Ratchet Deadlocked came out, YouTube was a thing, which is fucking crazy, man. Like, this would have been a new game when YouTube just started making its rounds. I mean, I'm not too sure what gaming content was like on YouTube circa 2005, but yeah, must have been a sight to behold. So what do we have now? Whack-a-Swarmer. This one actually gave me a bit of trouble on my first time through, mainly because sometimes, like, the Swarmers, when they spawn, you know, whenever they drop the boxes, actually, yeah, some of them can kind of get a bit wrapped around, like, corners or whatever. So, yeah, bit of a pain in the arse whenever you have them show up and only miss one and then fail the challenge. I don't know, maybe it's just a bit of a programming quirk, maybe it's something in me. Who cares, it's just kind of a bit of a wee pish mission, so pick your poison and stick with it, I suppose. Okay, now to other topics that I can think of. Well, I suppose there's one thing, at least in terms of my personal history with Ratchet Deadlocked, because I believe this is the first and, one of a few games that I actually beat the day that I got it, because again, I remember, you know, back in 2005, I remember my dad taking me to the, you know, to the shops, picking up the game, and again, I think from like 11 o'clock up until, I think like 8 o'clock at night before I had to go to bed, I wound up beating the game, which, again, I thought would impress my schoolyard chums with my knowledge of the game, but no, they just call me a fucking nerd, and, made me feel very sad. But again, that does also kind of go to show, you know, the sort of longevity of Ratchet Deadlocked, because again, what I completed back then when I was a kid was basically all dread challenges, you know, the main story, obviously, as well as, you know, just maxing out at least all the weapons that I had in my inventory, which, I mean, again, it was a little bit excessive, but it was also me trying to get the most out of my playtime, and while I did go back to Ratchet Deadlocked to play multiplayer with friends and whatever, at the same time, by the time I was done with the main story, and especially in more recent years as I've become a morose, gothy adult, yeah, by the time I'm done with the main story, I really have no reason to go back to Deadlocked. Which I suppose is funny in and of itself, actually, because, like, I do believe, you know, for the HD releases of Ratchet & Clank 3, they re-added the multiplayer. I don't think that was the case with Deadlocked, though, because, I'm not sure if they added it maybe in a patch or whatever, but yeah, the PS3 version of Ratchet Deadlocked doesn't have multiplayer, which is kind of odd, because that's what the whole game was based on and, you know, sold as, so really, what the fuck? And I suppose while we're on the, you know, multiplayer Ratchet & Clank tangent, It honest to God does baffle me that they haven't, like, re-released it for, you know, the PlayStation 4 and 5 PSN network, because they have all 4 Jak games there. And again, given how popular the Ratchet & Clank series is, not to mention its relevance compared to Jak, I don't know, you would have thought they would have put the PS2 games on there. I mean, loath as I would be for them to post the fucking HD collection ports, you know, I mean, they do play fine enough, it's just a bunch of shitey graphical hiccups that, you know, kind of mar the experience a bit, at least visually, but again, if they were just to port the PS2 games, or maybe give it a bit of a rejig, I don't know, I'd be happy to see it, because, I mean, it's saying something when, you know, games like The Legend of Dragoon is ported onto the PSN, you know, under the Classics catalog long before fucking Ratchet, which is it's just kind of fucking crazy to me. I mean, granted, I am glad to have some obscure games like Siphon Filter or Legend of Dragoon on the store itself, but yeah, I don't know, it's a weird world we live in. Anyway, we're going to be going to Auxon next, but yeah, we also have a cutscene coming up. Oh yeah.
Kids across the galaxy know that wearing the right pajamas can give you superpowers.
I'm Gamatron. My eyes shoot laser beams. I'm Reactor. I can eat metal.
I'm Battlehawk. I can fly.
Oh, I love that part!
Sir, we have the latest sales figures.
Yeah, what's the bottom line?
Nobody is buying the new Ace Hardlight merchandise. In fact, sales are down across the board except for Fuzzy Lombax ears.
We sell those?
Yes, sir. They're an accessory for the Tiny Tots assault weapons kit.
Well, you've obviously made some sort of idiotic mistake. Report to B-level for disintegration.
Yes, sir.
Wait!
Sir?
On your way there, tell the lab to set up a focus test. Find out why this stuff isn't selling.
I'll get right on that, sir.
You see, it's funny because he's talking about stuff that sells and he's gonna die. Ratchet & Clank was clearly all about consumerism, which was funny. Ha 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 ha. I'm kidding, obviously. These jokes are very hilarious, and anybody who loves them is the superior Ratchet & Clank fan. But yeah, let's just charge up our weapons, reload, and get ready to go back to that slumbering shitfest known as Auxon. You know what, I think I'll save that tangent for when we actually get to Auxon itself, but well, I mean, you know what, no, save it for then, This is the Scorpion Flail. I already talked about it, so nothing you should say there. This is the modding system. Whoopee. Modding. Truly genius gameplay. Although to mention one thing about the modding system, before anything else, in lieu of actually getting a morph array that, you know, turns enemies into chickens, sheep, or ducks, yeah, this one actually has, like, a morph mod, so any weapon you use can turn animals into... Animals? No, it can turn enemies into animals, so... yeah, whoopee. Well, this part was a bit of a failure all around. Terrible times were had by all, so on that note, I am Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time, we return to the blog homeworld of Auxon. Catch you next time.